Sup guys, so basically you need to increase your mouse sensitivity in CS2. Now all the sensitivity I'm talking about in this video are at 400 DPI, so 400 DPI on my mouse. So you can do 400, 800, 1600, etc. I'll be talking about at 400. So I originally used to use 1.45 in CSGO, and players like Nico also did, but they've also gone up higher now. Like I have, because of how fast CS2 is and how much you have to have flicking ability and fast reaction times and fast movements to play very well in this game. And this is shown by what pro players are using at the moment. Statistically, pros are using higher sense, and we'll go through that later. We'll show you all the top pros and what they're using. So I switched to 1.67, and that was even too low from 1.45 originally, and then about 2 months ago I went to 1.9, and that's been the best for me. So the higher you can go, the better. Anywhere around 1.7 to 3 is where you want to be. That's kind of where the pros are. Let's look at the top performing pros at the moment. So we have Donk 2.5 cents, then we have Zaiwu at 2, Monacy at 2, Xanteros 2.3, Xertion 2.2, K-Serrado 2.55, Elige 2.96, Broky 1.9. So these are the top players in the last 3 months statistically, and they're all above 1.9, and most of them are above 2. So we look at this and you can kind of see where it's at right now and how CS2 is played. You need a higher sense, you need to be able to react quick, you need to be able to move quick. So if you're in those lower sensitivities, try and get them up. See how hard you can push. Kind of the way I like to do it is the higher you can get it, the better. But it gets obviously harder to control as you go, so your responsibility of controlling your mouse gets harder. So you look at these top players, Xanteros, Xertion, K-Serrado, Elige, they all have like really high sense. Donk even, I would say 2.5 is quite high, and they control it so well, they look super smooth. So if you can't be smooth with it, don't use it, go lower. But you need to have a higher sense if you want to maximize your aiming ability. And just a simple way to explain it is there's less mouse movement. So if you're on 1.4 and you go like this, you're only going to move a little bit. If you're on 3 and you move like this, you're going to move further. It's harder to control, but if you can control it, you can be faster and quicker. And milliseconds matter in this game, so every millisecond matters. So the higher you can get it, the better. One thing I found compared to 1.45 and 1.9 that I'm using now is just the ability to flick and adjust if you need to. So if you don't have the crosshair placement, and it can't always be perfect because a guy can just peek you in Palace when you're looking at main, you need to have that ability, and I didn't have that ability at 1.45. I kind of just have to accept death. My crosshair placement would be good, but then the guy would peek from somewhere else and I'd just kind of die. So get your sensitivity up just to get that reaction. But you also need to be aware that if you can't control it and you feel really shaky, that you might have to lower it a bit, and we want to get in that range again, as I said earlier, about 1.7 to 3. As you guys know, I like to use examples outside of CS and relate it to CS, and this is just something to think about. Just Max Verstappen, who's one of the best F1 racers of all time, multiple world champion, he uses a sharp front end. So when he's turning his car, he just moves the steering wheel a little bit and it moves super fast. So it's a similar kind of thing as having a high sense, and it's kind of somewhat equivalent to in-game sense. Here's Alex Albon talking about it.
What ends up happening is he has quite a unique driving style, actually. It's not that easy to get along with. Everyone has a driving style. I would say my driving style is a bit more on the smooth side. But I like a car that has a good front end, so quite sharp, quite direct. Max does too, but his level of sharp and direct is kind of another. It's a whole different level. It's eye-wateringly sharp. And to give people kind of maybe an explanation of what that might feel like, I don't know if you guys play computer games at all, but if you bump up the sensitivity completely to the max and you move that mouse and it's just darting across the screen everywhere, that's kind of how it feels. It becomes so sharp that it makes you a little bit tense. And so what ended up happening was, especially during my year, you start off being a little bit behind, but not by much. And then as the season goes on, Max wants this front end in the car. He wants his car to be sharper. And as it goes sharper and sharper, he goes quicker and quicker.
So as you can see, other sports also do the same thing. It's the same concept. So if you can control those high senses, then yeah, it can make you an amazing player. And if you really hone in that muscle memory, it's hard, but if you can do it, it can make you amazing. Like you look at old Simple and his aim, and he was on super high sense 3, and the control he had was, you know, amazing. And and that's why he's one of the GOATs, or if not the GOAT. So if you can try to push your sense up, it can really help your ability to get more kills in CS2. So really hone in and practice. Use my training routine that I gave you. Really practice that high sense. Don't switch and then switch back the next day. Like, really give it a go. Up your sense. Thanks for watching, guys.